What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel as you tune in and you check out the content. And with that being said, man, right now there's not a lot of there's no basketball. As a matter of fact, there's no basketball going on, right? So I'm just looking through, just going through YouTube and just finding out, looking at and see what else I want to comment and talk about, right? And so a couple of the videos that I watched, was from this guy, Trap House Kitchen, right? And so he this in this video, he's speaking about uh athletes who they make wear the dress and stuff like that. And so and the thing is, their take is making athletes wear the dress is wearing a dress is like it's a humiliation ritual, right? And so my thing is, from what I see, all right, it's always, in most cases, it's always the black athletes who are wearing the dresses and taking part in this humiliation ritual, right? And not only is it athletes, but then you have entertainers, comedians who are wearing it, actors who sometimes who have to wear these. I remember Wesley Snipes. What was it? Wesley Snipes and what's the Ving Rhames, Kevin Hart. So it's a lot of athletes and entertainers and comedians who they put in these positions, right? And most of the time they're black or African American. So you can't, like, what does that mean? What does that say for the so-called evil spirits or that is promoting this, right? That means that that these people and these is all, it's got to be racism, right? Because you can't just imagine somebody took a car and plowed into people. They were having like one of those a parade. What do you call it? A gay pride parade, and you plow into those people, right? You're not going to be able to say, that will be considered a hate crime, right? People are going to label it what it is. If you plow into some people and they have one of those gay pride parades, that's considered a hate crime. They're not going to say like, well, it's the devil, or the devil made me do it and I can get away, you know what I mean? And you can get away with that scot free. And so my point is, if with this, and you see a bunch of black actors and entertainers put in positions where they have to wear these dresses and stuff like that, then don't blame it on what I mean, like a devil. You want to know like who is exactly behind this, right? Because now if you say, well, the devil did it, then that means that nobody has to accept responsibility for preying on and taking advantage of or putting these black athletes and entertainers in compromising positions, right? And so I have, and on this thumbnail, I got basketball players, and then in the center of this basketball player, I have a like this is supposed to be like some type of evil figure, right? And this evil figure allows the real perpetrators of this racism, these predatory acts, this discrimination and stuff, that allows them to take really get off scot free, because nobody has to take responsibility. It's like, they just saying, well, the evil spirits or the devil made me do it. Whereas though, like I said, if you are somebody who come from humble beginning, or you just an ordinary average person and you commit a crime, you can't get off and say, well, the devil made me do it, right? And so now I'm listening to, like I said, this guy from the what's it from his podcast and his reaction. And shout out to Trap House. I like his content, right? That's why I react to his he put up some interesting videos. So let me play some of what his video is and give some more of my reaction.
How did they convince you to get on the cover of ESPN with Mike Ditka?
It was Dan Levitard's idea. Dan and I got really close. And he, at the time, he was writing for ESPN, the magazine, and they asked him to write a cover story about the trade. So Dan and I were going back and forth with how to capture the image in an interesting
Wait a minute,
way.
hold up. Now, Ricky, Is his name Ricky Williams? Yeah, Ricky Williams said it was Dan Le Batard idea. I had no idea that it was Dan Le Batard. See, I had no idea that it was Dan Le Batard idea for Ricky Williams to wear a dress. I remember when this situation happened, and Ricky, like, why would he come up with that idea? Like, what is creative about putting a big strong athlete, not celebrating his his uh his athletic gifts, not highlighting his athletic gifts, but to really to feminize him and put him. I don't know. That is crazy. It's crazy, and so it just seems like that's why I said I'm not for and I'm not saying that they're not evil spirits and evil you know anything evil out here, but I like the fact that he mentioned that Dan Le Batard, it was his idea, and Dan Le Batard did used to work for ESPN. And so now here you see Charles Barkley. I never even knew this existed. With Charles Barkley had on a dress, and what was this?
42 pounds.
I never even knew that this exists. Charles Barkley had on a dress. Until I seen this video, I didn't know that this existed. Right. And the thing about it, if you are a professional athlete,
up here, guys,
and look at this. This is Russell Westbrook, right? And so if you're a professional athlete and you refuse to wear a dress like this, is Jordan Clarkson. If you refuse to wear this, then they, you know what I mean, you get punished, and you get who is this guy right here? Serge Ibaka. You talking about guys that are exceptionally athletic and gifted. This guy right here is Kyle Kuzma. So why not, if you have a guy that is, these guys who are exceptional athletes and people appreciate them, like the fan base appreciate them for their athleticism and their skill at basketball, why not lean into that and celebrate that? But then you want to go in a whole separate direction and feminize these guys and put these guys in dresses and stuff like that, right? And so like when I just heard Ricky Williams say that it was Dan Le Batard idea. So somebody really needs to call Dan Le Batard to the carpet and ask him why, like what. And I never seen Dan Le Batard in a dress. I just never seen him and I bet you $3 that you wouldn't be able to get Dan Le Batard to wear a dress. I bet you wouldn't be able to get him to wear a dress. All right, let me skip past the intro. Hold up. All right, let me see what he had to say.
Morning. It is 9:04 here in Ohio, Columbus to be exact. Anyway, LeBron James, Charles Barkley, and numerous other athletic figures. Y'all see it. I don't even want to say too much in the intro, but y'all see it. Come on, man. The first dude was like this in a wedding dress.
Yeah, I just think that like I said, it's just too easy, in my opinion, to put the devil or some type of figure that represents evil, and just don't point the finger like whose idea was it. And then when you put the onus and you put the responsibility on somebody, like I want to know, like what is your creative pattern, like what is your creative thought process, where it just makes it seem like this is a good idea for any man, to put any athletic man or in a dress. Like what is that? What would make you think that this is going to be something that people want to see? Number one, I just never really get it. I don't get it. But I think you let people off the hook. People like Dan Le Batard, you let them off the hook when when people can say, well, evil spirits or the devil or something like that, you know, led people to do this, when there's always a person behind the scenes, and you got to call people out for this. And like I said, the thing about it, if these athletes don't do this, then they'll wind up losing out. But then check this out. Most of the time in the long run, the athletes wind up being broke anyway after their career is over with. Like Larry Johnson right now, for years have been known to have financial issues. Same thing with Dennis Rodman. Like Dennis Rodman had financial issues, right? And then and the thing about having financial issues is not even, they try to say, well, it's financial illiteracy. That's, they don't manage their money right. But when you have 95% of the athletes who stop playing whatever professional sport they play, and then they end up, being broke, that's not just financial literacy, because you have so many people trying to do so many different things. That's just, it's, to me, is like they're getting froze out of the marketplace. Basically, like if you're an athlete and you have millions of dollars and you start a business and that business go belly up because other people refuse to do business with you, then that's just discrimination. And I can point out Kevin Hart had a business, that's going up, that's failing. Plenty of black people have, actors and athletes have money to put in the business, but then the business fail, or somebody come and they steal something. The thing is, these athletes and actors are being frozen out of the business market. And the sooner they accept that and stop pointing at, like saying that the devil did it, then the sooner you can adjust for that, and just, you can fight like what the real problem is, instead of saying, well, the devil did it, so that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'm gonna check y'all out in the next video. Peace.